Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. It's a feeling now. Hit 'em high, hit 'em low, 'cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got, 'cause we're ready.
This is the Piffles podcast, your Saskatchewan Roughriders fan podcast. Thanks for joining 2/3 of the show this week, as we are short Steve, as I think he's going to die. He has a man cold. So
They are
Steve,
the worst, and they are real.
very real. Steve, it was nice knowing you.
I'm already working on the in memoriam.
Yeah. I want to say you got this, but I've seen man colds take the best of us. So we're thinking of you.
Are we?
I'm being nice here just in case he makes it.
He's just not going to listen to this, so it doesn't really matter.
Probably not. Well, we'll see you next week, Steve. Anyway, this is your Saskatchewan Roughrider fan podcast. Thanks for joining us wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube or SaskTel Max TV on demand, as always, you got me. I'm Alex.
And I am Greg today because Steve's not here, and the shtick doesn't work if there's only one of us doing it.
But still, pity follows or no pity follows?
I've been actually had people in my comments telling me that we have been not following the contractually obligated. I do not need your pity follows at Greg on Sports. So I have to go back and find out what the fine's going to be, but you'll be hearing from my agent. Who's me?
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't pay an agent. I know you don't. Well, Piffles Podcast is brought to you by our great friends on Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sass Drive in Regina. We're also proud to be sponsored by Kathy Feshton of Royal LePage Next Level, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's Tactical Laser Tech Experience, and Bigfoot Vodka. Week 1 in the books. An interesting week in the CFL with how those games kind of played out. The Rider game, when you look at the final score, kind of played out how I thought it would. But with the flow of the game, I don't think it was. It was the full Rough Rider experience. Let's talk about it. Time for the opening kickoff. So, of course, the Riders beat the Red Blacks 31-26 last Thursday night at Mosaic Stadium in the season opener, which actually makes it 5 straight season openers the Riders have won. So getting off to a fast start.
And we've won the Grey Cup every year, right?
Yeah, except for those 2 years where we didn't make the playoffs. But everything's going great, right? So if you factor in the other 2 years before that, I mean, obviously it's a conference final appearance. So why bother playing the games?
Well, and don't get me wrong. We always say this. A game at the beginning of the season means just as much as a game at the end of the season. A win's a win. And it's always good that you put one up, especially against technically an inferior opponent. Don't get me wrong. The Red Blacks, if they ever figure it out, are going to be a really good team.
Team they should beat, though.
But definitely a team they should beat. And they beat them, but they made it very interesting near the end of the game.
Well, the starting of the game couldn't have gone any well. The very start of the game I thought was great because Ottawa came out and had
mid-season form
because they didn't have enough players on the field. I was like, I love Bobby Dice, but like, you had how long to instill your first drive for the entire season, and you didn't have enough players on the field? Like that's bad. That's embarrassing to me.
I had to laugh. They're all standing there, and everyone in my section is like, "What's happening here? Like, why aren't they doing anything?" And I'm like, you can see them looking at the bench. I'm like, they're short a guy. They're obviously like they have no running back. Like, how can you be the starting running back and not realize you need to be out there right
now? But after that, it was all uphill for the Red Blacks on that first drive, making it look so easy, exploiting the Riders' soft defense, the zone defense. And it was about 3 minutes into the game when I tweeted out that I'm already sick of this soft defense. Like, Richie Hall had the bend but don't break defense, and we're seeing that again. And I mean, if you win, it's great, but teams are going to exploit the middle of the field against this Rough Riders team. And I get it. They're trying not to let the big play happen over top. And that's why they're playing so far off. But what do you think about that Corey Mace defense right now? I know it's only one game, but looks the same as last year.
It's going to drive me batty. I'm the same way you are. It's like let's get some 2-and-outs. Let's get off the field. But we are definitely going to be playing between the 20s the entire game when it comes to being on the defensive ball. Like it's they don't tighten up until they get to that red zone, and then that's when it comes in or at the end of the game. But it was definitely like that first drive. I'm like, okay, here we go. Okay, this is what we're going to get. All right, it's going to be a horse race back and forth. And then, fortunately, we got some stops and we scored some points. And it's a good thing we scored those points because I was like, no, don't do this to me now. And it's funny, like my daughter is getting more and more into the game. Like it's really funny how invested she gets now. And I'm like, get used to this. Like this is Rough Rider football. Like every game is going to be an experience. You're going to feel every emotion, and this is what's going to happen.
That was just kind of the first quarter, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the starting sucked, and it couldn't have gone any worse for the Riders' offense either, with fumbles and like it just nothing worked in the first 15 minutes, and then
That field goal attempt,
oh yeah,
that was the wildest. Like, I'm like, oh, here we Joe Couch. What? This is why holders and long snappers are important, and
they matter.
and it's just luckily he got that punt off. It was just that first quarter was an adventure.
But they turned it around in the second quarter once the offense got moving around. Things were great, scoring 31 points in the middle two frames, outscoring Ottawa, scoring 24 unanswered, going into the half. Right, so they were moving around. Like they were 17 going into the half, and then another touchdown to start the third. Like so, they got things going, and things were looking great. Thinking, okay, here we go. This is gonna be a good one. Ottawa started, coming back and chipping away, and I think that was when the injuries kind of started taking the toll for the team. So we'll start there. We'll go to the injuries right now because a lot of those injuries were in the first half, with AJ Ouellette obviously taking a knee to the helmet and then a helmet to helmet from a Darius Pickett in back-to-back plays. As one of the offensive linemen kind of basically shoved him off the field, said, "You got to get out of here, man. Like you're not good right now." So concussion protocol, obviously. But that was AJ Ouellette.
And that's a good teammate to do that because they're supposed to have concussion spotters for a reason, and they kind of phoned it in on that one because you could tell he was definitely glassy-eyed. He didn't look right.
Well, after that first one, that longer run that he had, that 13 or 14-yard run where he took the knee to the helmet, they showed the replay of that. And I kind of saw him getting up, and he kind of staggered back just a touch. I was like, you got it. He's wobbly. Get him out of there. And the next play, handoff, and he took – I didn't see it in the stadium. I didn't see it till a replay at home, was the helmet to helmet that he took from Pickett. And actually Pickett kind of flexed on him after that, which if any Rider player would have flexed on doing a helmet to helmet hit on somebody else,
we'd never hear the end of it.
We would have seen that replay a billion times.
Yeah.
It wasn't a vicious like intent. I don't think it was there. The intent wasn't there, but still it happened. And to flex on a guy is a really, I mean, you don't do that, right? Like the guy's clearly hurt. But so, I mean, we could go with the discussion of AJ Ouellette now, because now with him, I mean, practiced on Tuesday, looks like he should be okay for this upcoming Saturday's game, but therein lies everyone's concern about his durability. Made it 3 carries into the season before he got hurt. So are you worried about AJ Ouellette and what he's going to bring to the team going forward?
If it was a reoccurring, like his hip from last year again, then I would be. Concussions are a different animal. Unfortunately, they just happen. It's not like it's he brought a concussion into the season. It's not like 2018 Zach Collaros where you're worried about the next gust of wind knocking him out. It was, unfortunately, it was an accident. It happens, and it's also the way he runs. He initiates contact. He puts his head down and he goes forward. He doesn't try to escape to the sidelines. So I'm not as concerned as many. It's not a good look. Let's be honest. It's not a good look for AJ Ouellette,
Yeah,
especially after everyone was already kind of complaining about how much they paid for him last year and how little he played and how few yards he had. So bad look. I'm not that concerned about it.
We'll stay on the offense with the injuries. Kean Schaefer-Baker going down in the first half. Didn't really see what happened there. Did run a wrong route we assume wrong route on a deep ball by Trevor
I hope
Harris.
that was a wrong route. Either it was a wrong route or Trevor Harris got the wrong read because they were nowhere near each other.
But we didn't really see him after. We had no idea until we saw him leave the bench at halftime, walk into the locker room very, very gingerly. They're saying it's a foot injury. It kind of looked like it was maybe a hamstring or something, but looks like it was a foot or ankle or something. But in game, I'm not too worried about an injury like that to a Canadian receiver because you do have Mitch Picton who can step in, and he did right off the bat and was very productive in his time. Long term, obviously, got to worry, and there's a discussion right there. Kean Schaefer-Baker. I saw a comment on the Rider Fans Forum. He's now Braden Linius. And I hate that because I love KSB, but his durability is starting to come into question now with all the injuries he's had over his CFL career so far.
Oh yeah, it's no secret he's my daughter's favorite player. Like I think he's part of the reason why she's such a deep fan now. And it does suck that he's hurt all the time. And yeah, I guess Braden Linius might be a good comparison. But I don't know. I called him last week. He's our best 1,000-yard, non-1,000-yard receiver. Like
he's always
he's always going to make the catches that he can. It's just I don't know. It's going to depend because he hasn't practiced this week yet. So I'm sound like he's out. So hopefully it's nothing serious. But he's not on the 6th game yet, so that's good news.
The depth that the team has, though, allows him to be able to take that time off and get right. So even if it is throw him on the 6th game, if you think it might be a 3-week injury or something, just put him on the 6 right now with the depth that they have. They can absorb that. And the other injury on the offensive line from that game was Peyton Collins, who is replacing an injured Jacob Brammer. So,
yeah.
Our O-line already kind of a mess, and Collins, he'll be out a while. He was on crutches post-game in the locker room, so we won't be seeing him for a while. And I thought he was very, very good prior to getting hurt because I didn't even realize it until after I got home and looked at the stat sheet. I knew they were I thought they held up pretty well. No sacks allowed for that offensive line. And it's not like the D-line of Ottawa is filled with slouches, right? Like that's a solid D-line that they have there. And the Riders O-line really kept him in check even after Peyton Collins left and Daniel Johnson came in at left tackle. I thought they'd throw him at guard and move Trayvon Tate back out to tackle. They just straight up put Collins out there, or sorry, Johnson out there, Collins at left tackle. And I thought he held his own pretty well.
Well, it's early into this week's practices, but yeah, it sounds like Johnson's out at tackle again. So they obviously see something in him out there, which is awesome. But yeah, it's how many what do we set the offensive line at over under at 18 this year?
Yeah, it was 13 last year, but we
13 last year.
Yeah,
like it's ridiculous. The good news is doesn't sound like he's going to be out that long. I think I read somewhere. Because once again, he's not on the 6th game. Only one guy got put on the 6th game, and he wasn't injured coming out of that game as far as anyone knew. So,
and that, of course, being CJ Avery with a bicep injury, they call it. So if they're putting him on the 6th game as soon as they did, maybe that's a torn bicep. Who knows? If he is, that's pretty much a season right there. So hopefully that's not the case. But again, the depth that this team has, at least in linebacker there with CJ Avery, well, you put AJ Allen in there, and now they'll activate Antoine Brooks, and we'll talk about that in the preview for the Hamilton game a little bit later on. Bringing back Braxton Miller, one of the guys. Sorry, not Braxton Miller, Braxton Hill, who was one of the training camp cuts. So at least some familiarity. He'll take the practice roster spot for now.
He was here at the end of last season too, so there's quite a bit of familiarity.
So that one I'm not terribly worried about, as I think the Riders have pretty good linebackers waiting in the wings here as well too with AJ Allen, and AJ Allen I think deserves more opportunities on defense as it is. Didn't necessarily have his best game last week,
not.
But I mean, I'm not worried about him. He'll be fine.
Well, part of that is that soft zone. it's just the way it is.
Yeah. Where it looks like it might be, one player's fault, but really he's actually in the right spot. It's just offense.
The way it is.
Yeah. Offenses know exactly what the Riders are going to run, and they're going to exploit it for a lot of yards. But turnovers, of course, obviously are going to be a big thing. Roland Milligan Jr., the final injury from that game we'll talk about, looked more like a stinger to me than anything in stadium. I didn't really see much about him after the game, but was out there day one of practice this week. So hopefully it was just precautionary, keeping him out of the first game in the second half there. But his replacement, Kerfala Exume, when he came in,
looked good.
Yeah, I was actually pretty impressed. I was hoping that we would not see a lot of him in the defensive backfield based off preseason, and he did okay. It wasn't him, but there was some dropped interceptions. I think DeMarcus Fields had a dropped one. Nelson Lacombo had a drop.
Lacombo had a really bad one.
That one was right in his hands.
Oh,
that's why they're DBs and not receivers, right?
Yep.
But just with these injuries for the Riders to suffer them, and these are like pretty important pieces to the Riders starting units, right? To lose those guys in game, most of them pretty early in the game too, and to still play that the way that they did and get the production that they got was pretty impressive. So it speaks a lot to Jeremy O'Day and the scouting staff with the depth that they've built, and to the coaching staff to have all these guys ready to play, because at some point, clearly your number is going to get called. So kudos to coaching staff and front office staff for finding guys and getting them all ready, because this depth of the team that carried the team to the win here.
Well, and speaking of the depth, like we talked about our love for Thomas Bertrand Hudon. The dude took the rock, and they had better running than AJ. And I'm not trying to say he needs to start over AJ, but he knew what he had to do, and he was moving the ball. The old Thomas the Train, and it was running away, chugging on the tracks, and it was awesome to watch. And I hope we see more of it.
Well, on the touchdown reception that he had, made a nice cut to hit the outside, a great block to spring him as well too. And I love the rushing touchdown that he had when he was bowling over guys, and then Sam Amelitz just grabbed him and threw him into the end zone.
That was awesome.
He got in. I like that the team, and I think it was the CFL actually posted that on their socials, all the angles of that, and then AJ Ouellette on the sideline just screaming and being pumped up for it. So more TBH, please. Let's get him the ball more. He's not going to be the starter going forward, obviously with Ouellette and now Kadeem Carey being a rider now. He'll be the backup, but he's earned more touches. And I think if you can get him, to that 7-8 carries a game, reduce how much you're using your starting running back, keep them a little bit healthier throughout the year. This guy's earned more playing time. So
100%.
Give it to him. And he's productive. Maybe it's just against Ottawa. That's what it was last year. He had that that
Yeah.
big game against Ottawa last year. Obviously, 2 touchdowns in this one. But just opportunity. Give him the opportunity because every time he's gone out there, he's performed. So hopefully we see more Thomas Bertrand-Hudon on by design
Mhm.
by this offense going forward.
Yep, definitely. He deserves it. Like you said, he's not going to be the starter anytime soon, but doesn't mean he can't be a productive member of your team. So
So that fourth quarter, obviously, I think that was again coming for full circle here. That was when the depth kind of really did get tested, and the team was just trying to hold on. It was the D line that really came up big, and that D line, just in general, first off, the run D was phenomenal.
oh, beauty.
Those guys-
Even Braylon Addison was out there tweeting after the game that the Riders' defense is going to be hard to run on. So when the opponent that you just played going, that's a nasty defensive line. Yeah, you know it's a good defensive line.
Well, you got Mike Rose, whose motor was his strong suit in that game. He just didn't stop.
Yeah.
Micah Johnson is Micah Johnson. What more can you say about him? Caleb Sanders in the middle had a pretty solid game as well, too. And everybody on the ends seemed to have a really good game. And it was the pass rush in the fourth quarter that really got going. They were actually pretty consistent for most of the game. They just didn't get there in the first little bit. But that to close out the game, it was the timing that they got from that pass rush getting home to the quarterback. That's what made it so good to watch when you see Carney and then Baldonado getting a huge sack to basically ice the game. Like these guys, this is going to be a very solid defensive line, even pass rushing. It's just going into the season, it was just, can they find that consistency? And I think they got into a pretty good groove there.
And I got to admit, even though you don't see it on the score sheet, Shane Ray had a good game as well. He was in that backfield all the time too, causing havoc. So definitely, Mike and I like the way they played. I don't want to give them too much credit because I also think Drew Brown is still showing how young he is as a starter. Because especially on Baldonado's, he should have got rid of that ball. He saw Baldonado coming and he tried to make that extra turn tried to pull the Cody Fajardo and try to get out of the way, and that iced the game right there. So,
bottom line, the Riders held on, and it does. But at the end of the year, no one's going to remember this game.
No.
They don't care how you win; they care that you win. And that's exactly what happened. And it's week 1. Like, we could sit here and nitpick a lot of things, but it's basically an extension of the preseason still, but the win actually counts in the standings. Teams will, especially when the offense took a little while to get going on, that whole offense played a couple series together in the preseason. So I'm not going to sit here and worry yet about they didn't do this or they didn't do that, but it'll come.
If we keep on making the same mistakes 4 or 5 games in, then yes, we're going to pick those apart. But right now,
nah.
Yeah, it's the third game of the preseason. Just it actually counts for something.
And how about Sam Emilus? 833 yards and that touchdown he caught without a shoe. I was after one game, I will eat my crow because I said that Keyshawn Johnson would be the alpha in this receiving crew. After one game, it still is Sam Emilus, who's proven that he's not only one of the top, 2 Canadian receivers in this league, he's one of the top 5 receivers in this league. So this guy is a stud, and just keep feeding him the ball. And that showed up on the CFL's honor roll, their players of the week that they do every year or every week now. Sam Emilus was the highest graded receiver. Thomas Bertrand-Hudon was the highest rated running back. Jamarcus Hardrick was the highest rated offensive lineman. The Riders' offensive line as a whole was the highest rated offensive line.
Yep.
Like, we're, I mean, it's only 1 week. We're not going to plan the parade yet. But we know
I'm scouting. I'm scouting locations though. At least.
Yeah, we know the route, so
yeah.
we'll leave it at that. So obviously, things good after a win. not going to nitpick the little things, not after week one anyway. The attendance is the other thing that people are talking about from this game. And I know this is a sore spot with you because you actually had to do research. And there's one thing that I've learned about you, Greg. You do not like having to do research.
It's not that Okay, people, this is what you need to understand. I come to this podcast to have a beverage and to talk football. And occasionally I do the funny songs, and I do designs, and I do merchandise. I don't want to do research I don't have to do because Bomber fans are mouth breathing losers. Okay, I don't want to, but this is what they made me do.
Okay, so we'll put this in context here before you get started. The attendance on Thursday night was 25,973.
Yes.
A little bit more context. Yeah, that's a lower number than we're used to seeing here in Saskatchewan, I guess, over the last few years. But Thursday night, while it's still school, kids are still in school, so it's a school night. People, even if they took the Friday off, they're probably going out to the lake. So, and you're not going to travel in from Saskatoon and get home at 2, 3 in the morning when you got to work the next day. That's just not going to happen. So there are factors. I'm not going to sit here and, give anybody the gears for not showing up to that game. I get it. I totally get why you would not travel in for this game. It makes sense.
My kids and I left at halftime because they had school the next day.
Exactly. Like, it's just, there are other things that are more important, and can't fault anybody for that. So anyway, that attendance of just under 26,000. Greg, go ahead.
And also, I want to point out there was some local media figures that were also taking jabs about Rider Nation not being what they used to be, and
the guys that get free tickets and sit up in the press box.
I don't know. Does Canada's fastest growing podcast get you free into the press box?
Probably not right now.
But and also another former media guy. I don't know if he still goes there or not, but yeah, he was also saying Rider Nation is dead, and which was echoing a lot what Bomber fans have been saying. And so I decided to look into it, and so I did. And since I only went back as far as 2012 because there's limits to how far back I'm going to do research, and 2012 was it.
You save that for Remember That Guy.
Yeah. Like I pointed out that 2011 didn't happen, so why would I go any further than that?
Well, yeah.
Exactly. So 2012, since 2012, the Riders have only had six Thursday night games. 2024, 2023, 2019, 2018, and 2016. The other night was 2025, just shy of 26. July 4th, 2024, 23,900. July 6th, 2023, 27,200. August 1st, 2019, Jesus Sprinkles, baby. That was 29,500, and that was going into a long weekend.
Well, and that was also, you got a free ticket to the X for that game, too.
You
that
did, yeah.
Dog night for Cody.
But once again, Thursday night game. It doesn't matter. People still have to work the next day.
Yeah.
July 4th, 2018, 30,005. And then June 30th, 2016, going into Canada Day, 29,900. So that's an average of 27,800 for a Thursday night game. Still not terrible. That would sell out every CFL East stadium. No problem. So I'm like, well, let's see how the Bomber fans are doing, because I'm hearing they're selling out this week. I've heard we've got 30,000 sold, going to be a sellout. Cool. Your population is almost 4 times more than Regina is, but hey, it's good you guys can have an extra couple hundred people. They've had 25 Thursday night games in that time.
That's a lot.
That's 2 a year. Legitimately 2 a year. And I lost my where that went. They had an average, because I'm not going to read out all 25.
No.
They had an average of 28,100. 300 more people than the Riders have on Thursday night games, with a population much larger. Don't tell me Rider Nation is dead. Is it what it used to be? No, unfortunately not. But Rider Nation is not dead, and Thursday night games suck. So congratulations, because there's nothing better to do in Winnipeg.
Well, and how many of those Thursday games that other teams have had, even the other ones that you listed that the Riders had, where after school was out, people will take those Fridays off.
This was the earliest one by far. Like I said, the earliest one that we had was June 30th, 2016. And that was going into Labor Day. Or sorry, going into Canada Day.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Like, usually it does coincide with a long weekend of some sort when we do have a Thursday game here. So,
well, like July 4th, July 6th, like around the Canada Day, probably just after August 1st, that was going into August long weekend, and going into Canada Day. Like, Regina's not made, like the Rough Riders fan base is not made for Thursday night games, and they know it, obviously, because that's the reason why they give us 6 in 12 years and Winnipeg 25, because you got people in Saskatoon, PA, hell, go from Calgary. Like, people travel to come to Rider games. Thursday games make no sense.
So off the bat, I'm assuming that you're not disappointed by that number, because I'm not. I mean, would I like to see that number a little bit higher? Of course I would, but also things have changed just in pro sports in general, and how people are approaching going to games. It's so much easier to just stay at home. Your beer is colder. Your, snacks are cheaper, right? Like, it's so much easier to do that. And you can do it on your own time. You can pause the game if you need to, or not start watching the game until, 8:00, if whatever else, right? Your kid has a sport going on or something, whatever the case is, it doesn't matter. So it is just easier to stay home and watch the game than going out, especially if you do have to travel, even if it's just down the road from Moose Jaw, right? So I hate when people bug attendance, because yes, do we want attendance to be better everywhere? Yes, we do. But there are 7 teams in the CFL that would kill for 26,000 to show up on a Thursday night game. Are you kidding me? 26,000 on a Thursday? Every team outside of Winnipeg right now would kill for that. So I'm not worried about it. The rest of the games on Friday night and Saturday afternoons, plus the Labor Day game, the rest of the schedule is actually pretty nice. So I imagine that number is going to go up. So yes, there are concerns about attendance issues, and we'll always have that, but not for a Thursday game. That doesn't bother me at all.
No, and here's the thing. At the end of the year, I guarantee you the Riders are going to be top 2, if not top 3 in attendance in the league. And yes, Rider Nation isn't what it used to be. We know that. They're working to fix that, but don't put a toe tag on the body yet. Like, we're still fine.
One more thing here in the opening kickoff. Always give some roster news as well too. Darius Washington on offensive line, American offensive lineman, was brought in. We'd mentioned Braxton Hill and Kadeem Carey, of course, as well too. We'll talk about Kadeem Carey a little bit more in the preview section. But this one I really liked. On Tuesday, the Riders added Regina Thunder offensive lineman Caleb Barajas and linebacker Kenton Effa to the practice roster. Now, while these guys are still junior players, they can practice with the Riders and they'll still be on the Thunder. So this is how Logan Ferlin got his start.
It was.
So not
and
saying
also
that will turn out to be Logan Ferlin type guys, but this is how it happens. Give them that opportunity, give them some practice with the big boys, and who knows, you might uncover a most outstanding offensive lineman.
Barajas has a motor that doesn't quit. Last year was his first year with the Thunder. And I'll never forget the first time I seen him at spring camp, because we brought him in from California. And Scott McCauley, head coach of the Thunder, goes, "Watch this," because they were doing a skeleton, full contact skeleton, and it was an interception. He bore down and just destroyed the ball carrier. like the dude's got a motor. The dude plays, I don't say a mean streak, but he's not afraid of contact, and he's really good. Kenton F out of York. Then, if it wasn't for Stephen Smith being Defensive Player of the Year for the Thunder last year, Effa was probably going to be the guy that got it. He's just as good as Stephen Smith, and I look forward to seeing what his career has because he's an awesome player.
So these guys will be on the Riders practice roster, allowed to practice, and then they'll still play with the Thunder. And who knows, maybe that'll turn into a proper contract over the next couple of years for these guys. So
all I know is Toronto better not steal Effa like they stole Stephen Smith. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's the opening kickoff presented by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Next Level. Let's get to Remember That Guy, sponsored by District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience. I have some ideas of who you're going to pick for this one. Greg?
Oh, really?
I do,
okay.
yeah.
Oh.
You're going to pick a once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times a rider, who knows, from the past. Give us some hints, us like Steve's still here, and I'll try and guess who it is.
All right.
So let's remember that guy.
All right. Born in Montreal, Quebec.
NFL. Oh, no, never mind.
He was definitely not born in Montreal. And I will definitely never do Dennis Guile if you're here by yourself. Let's put it that way.
If I think I know who it is already, should I say it or should I wait for
ahead.
a couple hints? Alex Gagne.
No.
Ah, okay.
I was gonna be really mad if you would have got it on that hint. But like I would have. I'd retire this segment if you ever get it in one. 2-time Grey Cup champion. Winner of the Jackie Parker Trophy for West Rookie of the Year and the Dr. Beatty Martin Trophy for Most Outstanding Canadian West nominee. Has a CFL punt average of 28 yards. Franchise record, 107-yard touchdown reception.
Oh, that's Jeff Fairholm.
It is Jeff Fairholm.
Yeah, the franchise record catch got me.
Yeah. Plaza of Honor in 2005, and he's a better Steve.
It's too bad Steve didn't let us know in advance so we could get replacement Steve on, right?
I was thinking that too when I found out he wasn't coming in. I'm like, oh, this would have been a perfect one for Jeff. Just to see if he would have got it.
Of course I remember that guy. He listens to the show.
Yeah, obviously he was born in Quebec because Montreal, Quebec, because his dad was an Alouette.
Yep.
And he had one punt in 1991. I would love to know the story behind that.
Jeff, we know you're listening. We'll have to get you on. You got to tell us the story behind that punt. We got to find something there. And I know you're good friends with Tom Mayonek from back in the day, so I need another Tom Mayonek story from Jeff here. And
his franchise record, 107-yard touchdown reception, was in Labor Day of 1990. So,
yep. We'll always remember that Grey Cup touchdown catch, though. That's the signature Jeff Fairholm play that everyone has etched in their memory. Dude could run. My goodness.
I had to laugh though because I had in here a former Wildcat because he was an Arizona Wildcat. And then today I see him tweeting about Kadeem Carey being a Wildcat. I'm like, I'm going to take that out because that seems a little too on the nose. But yes, Jeff, I want to know about the punt. Let me know about that punt, please.
Keep that in mind. Write that down somewhere so I don't forget that. Next time we have Jeff, we got to talk about that. Thing I wish that I was a little bit older in the sense that I could have seen Jeff Fairholm play more and actually appreciate it more than I do because I just saw it from highlights and I was too young to remember a lot of the games, right? So I wish I could have seen that guy. Like at my age now, I wish I could have seen Jeff Fairholm play and just truly saw how good he was. Because when you're behind, I don't want to say behind, but when you're teammates with Ray Elgard, Don Narcisse, these are all-time players in the CFL, not just all-time riders, all-time CFL players, right? You're not getting the same love from national media that these guys are getting, but the Riders don't win the Grey Cup without Jeff Fairholm in 1989.
No.
They don't
Well,
have that
that's-
turnaround. They don't have that turnaround as a franchise from the late 80s going into the early 90s without Jeff Fairholm.
Like I started watching more football around that time. I would have been like 10 or 11 when he went to the Argos. So it like maybe that bridge, like I kind of remember 89 Grey Cup, but I was still 8 years old, like that type of thing. So like, yeah, like same with you. I wish I was old enough to appreciate the Jeff Fairholms like we appreciate the role players now, like your Pictons and your guys that were good but are not going to get all the headlines, right?
And watching a 107-yard touchdown catch,
Mm.
especially at Labor Day too,
Oh.
with how amped up that game always is.
Like that was probably that game's version of the Carey Joseph line.
Yeah.
Like just the play that just sent the crowd just wild. So
Well, I will always remember that guy when it comes to Jeff Fairholm. One of the all-time Riders greats.
especially when he's on the box on this screen beside us. Next time Steve flakes out.
We'll reach out to Jeff. We'll get him back on the show because he's always great. And I am looking forward to seeing what he thinks about this team so far this year.
Oh, yeah.
And last time we talked to him was last season. So I'd like to see what he sees right now. So Jeff, we'll reach out to you. We'll get you on sometime again. Well, there's Remember That Guy. Sponsored by District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience. Time for Churchill Brewing Company odds and end zones. Were there any of the three games that kind of caught your eye last week outside of the Riders in Ottawa that just you kind of like, whoa, that happened or that didn't
Hamilton
happen?
laying an egg. Hamilton laying an egg because I expected more.
We shouldn't though, because I didn't even realize this until after the game. Hamilton has lost 19 of their last 22 season openers. 19 of 22.
That's crazy.
Like, at what point, like, does somebody take some accountability here and say we're clearly not prepared coming out of training camp, or is what we're doing good enough? Like, clearly not. To have that kind of a long standing streak is just crazy to me.
Like I said, like we preseason, like the first game is an extension of the preseason. Apparently, they believe that to be true. And if you looked at Bo Levi Mitchell not being able to hit Kenny Lawler in stride, they believe that to be true. Like they look better in the preseason game than they did in the first game. Like Bo Levi was like missing him by 10 yards over his head. At least it wasn't near a defensive back, but it was bad.
Well, I know like week one in the NFL is always an interesting one because anything can happen. And if you're going to see some upsets, it's usually in week one. So maybe that's the case here with Calgary. Like good for Calgary for putting up the points that they did and the game that they had. Vernon Adams, for the most part, was very, very solid. Got a good running game.
Diedrich Mills was running all over him.
Yep. And outside of giving up that long special teams, that kick return touchdown, I mean, you take that away, and this is even more of a blowout that Calgary had. So I didn't see that coming at all. And then
Us
to
not
me,
based on our choices.
yeah, no kidding. And to me, the other one that kind of stood out was BC and Edmonton. It wasn't the first half. That first half sucked. That was a boring first half of football.
I think it took them the entire half to get over the Munchies because, whoa, what was it 3-1 going into the half? Like
I think it was 7-3 or something. Like
that. They got it. They got one at the end. Yes. So,
yeah.
They got
like it was not an exciting, but
no.
I mean, BC turned it around. Nathan Rourke looked a lot better in the second half. But to me, the story of that game was Trey Ford, and now I'm starting to see more and more comments about it. And I've hinted on it here. I like Trey Ford. I hope he can become a big star in this league. Obviously, a Canadian quarterback. If you can have him be a franchise player, that's huge just for the marketing of this game, for this league. But he can't read a defense. Outside of if his first read's not there, he's scrambling. And it's exciting. There's no one more exciting in the CFL than Trey Ford. Because that was
football is fun football.
because that was entertaining.
Yeah.
But in terms of wanting your team to win games, you can't rely on schoolyard football and just running around and chucking up a prayer all the time. It's just not going to happen. Eventually, defenses are going to figure it out. And I mean, for at least 1 week, BC figured out the Trey Ford problem. And now I'm seeing Eddie Steele was commenting on it. Didn't call him out by name, but he was pretty clear that he was talking about the quarterback, that entertaining is fun, but you're not going to win any games doing what you did. So
here's my problem though. They cleaned house in the front office, and they still made him a starting. They paid him starting quarterback money, with basically the previous regime going, "There's no way in hell we're making him our starter." They bent themselves over backwards to not make Trey Ford their starter, and apparently Ed Hervey knew better, but didn't know better. Like, did they just sign Trey so they could get his brother in the door, or what? Like, I think Cody's the quarterback there before Labor Day, unless Trey can learn how to read a defense.
I think it's by week 5 that Cody's the quarterback. Like, luckily they have a bye week now so that Trey Ford can kind of hopefully figure things out. But I have my doubts on it. Exciting player, but if you can't make that second and third read, like, you can't rely on running around and throwing the ball up for grabs all the time. It's not sustainable. So
Meanwhile, when the Riders play him, he's going to look like a freaking genius.
Yeah, because that's the way it always happens. He plays us, and that's when he has a run game helping him out, and that's when he throws for 100-yard touchdown passes.
Yeah.
This one got me. Marcus Crandall making news in the CFL.
Can we talk quickly 1 second about the Montreal-Toronto game?
Sure.
Before we go there. Okay, Davis. Okay. I see you. You're not just a flash in the pan. Okay. Danny Machocha is a better GM than head coach. I will give him that. They got someone with Davis Alexander, and he might be a problem this year, I think.
And having Tyson Philpott back is huge. That guy's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
at least the Philpott twins are better than the Ford twins, apparently.
But we need more quarterbacks in this league, right? Like, so whenever a team says goodbye to veterans, with Cody Fajardo and McLeod Bethel Thompson, like, going with a young guy, like, hopefully they pan out, because the CFL needs good quarterbacks.
Yep.
And seems like they found one with Davis Alexander. So you guys had Toronto, I think, at least covering, if not winning, last week in the picks. Yeah. And I had Montreal covering. So that was the one game I got over you guys.
Well, but here's the thing though. Like, I knew Arbuckle was in, but I was expecting like Grey Cup Arbuckle. No. Like, I kind of joked, and Steve didn't use this line, and I'm mad. In the power rankings, but I'm like, it's telling that Chad Kelly can't play with a ingrown toenail, but they forced Nick Arbuckle to play with the affliction of being Nick Arbuckle, because that was bad. Like, he did not look good. Like, is he thinking about retiring again? Because I don't know what that was. And the fact that Chad Kelly can't play with an ingrown toenail, come on. Like, I'm not going to be one of those guys calling people soft, but come on.
It's all right when it's Chad Kelly, though.
Don't get me wrong. I don't like him, but ingrown toenail, like, are we serious? It reminds me of that NBA player that couldn't play because he played too many video games, and he sprained his thumbs.
Sounds like a baseball injury. Baseball always has the best injuries. It's usually just because of how they got them.
Mm-hmm.
Stepped on a pallet. Oh, broken arm. What?
I can tell you the roofers have even better injury stories, but those do not belong on this broadcast. Those are for Piffles After Dark.
That's for another show. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, Marcus Crandall making news in the CFL, signed a 1-day contract last week to retire with the Stampeders. Why he didn't pick the Riders, I have no idea, because he won a Grey Cup here too. So
He wasn't Grey Cup MVP here though.
that's true. But we
I'm
had
not
better
gonna lie. I remember him here. I forgot he was on that Grey Cup team.
He was Carey Joseph backup, and then
He was.
the starter in 2008. Started out 6-0. Started out 6-0.
Yeah.
Got hurt, and then Darian Durant took over.
Yeah. Well,
Until Michael
Darian Durant.
That 2008 season was wild. 17 years after Marcus Crandall played his last snap
What took
in
so
the
long?
CFL, he decides, "Oh yeah, hey guys, I'm gonna retire." What?
You'll get this reference. But I hope he was on a trampoline with dumbbells. It's like, okay, they're going to call me. I'm coming in. Good old Beyond the Mat.
I was hoping. I honestly thought that's who you were going to go with the one with Remember That Guy. I really thought
almost
you were
did.
going to go.
Almost did, but I thought it was 2 on the nose. I really did. I had him. Like, he was on my list, and I'm like, it'd be a good transition, but they'll expect it.
So yeah, my 2 guesses originally were going to be Alex Gagne and then Marcus Crandall, 2 former Riders making headlines this past week. Really quick before we get to the preview and our picks, graphics from TSN.
Scored about good.
Yeah, I
saw
it.
that. I'm not gonna lie, I missed the AI. I just saw people posting photos of it on the
It was AI. It was yeah. It was not good.
I will say this. AI is a tool, not the solution. Even the stuff that I use AI for, like my songs, because I can't sing, it's a lot of work to use and to use as a tool, but you just don't do it and call it good and move on. Like, it needs work. And to see TSN defend it is just like, okay. It's like, it's not costing people jobs, isn't though? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say though that, and this is where the new commissioner Stuart Johnston kind of comes in, is now he comes in, a former TSN guy.
Yep.
He comes in as commissioner. All of a sudden, TSN upgrades their presentation. Huh, interesting. How about that?
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see more of that going on in the future. Just less AI, please. And I did love the Friday Night Football, the kickoff, when they had the players singing, kind of talking the words, not necessarily singing, but singing the words to the Friday Night Football song. The one thing they were missing on there is have a little bug every time they show a new player with his name.
Yep.
I know who Levi Mitchell is. I know who these guys are when they show them. Does everybody? Probably not.
No.
So that's how you build. But stuff like that works. Stuff like that helps, and that builds these guys. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I want to see Bo Levi Mitchell sing more. Okay, well, maybe there's something we can do with that. But you got to let people know who that guy is.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I would suggest, is just make sure you have the guy's name there. But using the players like that, we're talking about marketing all the time. That's how you do it. Get them singing the song, and yeah,
Get more guys than Humpties. Come on, like just use the players. Let's go.
Just bring back the rec laws for Thursday, which the Queen City X
they're
is doing.
They're playing the X
on Thursday night too.
And you know what the opening song is going to be? What it better be? Is that the opening song or is that the encore?
That's like their only song, isn't it?
Just an hour of that song.
I'm in. Sold.
Play the same song.
Yeah. Anything for Jenna and Stu. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, let's look ahead to the Riders in Hamilton this Saturday night. 1-0 against 0-1. Will Kadeem Carey play this week? He was here with the team on Tuesday for day 1 of practice, but just kind of on the sidelines for the most part. AJ Ouellette was with the ones. It'll be interesting to see if they do put Kadeem Carey on the roster this week. they have with the injuries that they do have, they have the ability to put him on for another American. I don't know if they will, though.
I don't think so.
If AJ Ouellette's good to go, that's their starter. They've made that clear. And maybe later in the season they can figure something out with the ratio to get him on the roster and have that 1-2 punch with TBH there as well too. I just don't see that happening in week 2 of the season.
I don't understand the upside unless you know that Ouellette's not good enough to go. It makes no sense to force Carey onto this roster. And yes, running back, whatever, but like TBH is good. If AJ is good, you're going to put him on. The only way you'd force Carey into action is if Ouellette can't pass concussion protocol or whatever it seems to be keeping up. But obviously he has because he was practicing today. So I'm thinking Carey's on the practice roster this week.
I'd probably be singing a different tune if Bertrand Houdon didn't have the same performance that he did last week. If he was just having the same, 3-yard average, not really breaking any tackles or anything, then I can see them being like, okay, Kadeem, you're in. The nice thing with Carey is he does have that familiarity with the Mark Mueller offense with their time in Calgary. Hopefully we give him some hot food so he doesn't talk smack about the Riders later on in his career.
Mike Rose is texting, we got waffles.
Yeah. I think they had like the Mad Greek come in and cater for them too. So that's pretty good stuff.
Well, if you like souvlaki, anything else is trash.
Stop it. So Kadeem Carey, will he play? My guess is no, but obviously that's just after 1 day of practice. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of days. Mitch Picton looks like he's with the ones in for Kean Schaefer-Baker. Again, we don't really know the extent of KSB's injury, but that does open up another spot for a Canadian. Now, they could just bring in another Canadian receiver to back up. Maybe that's where you can get the extra American on if you can.
Obviously, old fourth quarter Mitch is a good spot for KSB. Is Neil dinged up too, or did I imagine that? Like
he was banged up as well too. I don't have the
that's fine
injury.
But yes, so Picton obviously is next man up. They brought Mims off the PR, so that might be their thought process behind that. The good news is KSB, like I said, they didn't put KSB on the 6 game. The only guy they put on the 6 game was I almost said Avery. It's not Avery. Is it CJ Avery?
Yeah. CJ Avery was on the 6 game, yeah.
So obviously KSB, they figure he might be a 1 game, he might be a day-to-day, game-to-game, but the fact he wasn't playing today also could just be a vet day. First day of practice is always hard to gauge. So we'll see if he's out there tomorrow. If not, we'll play it by ear, I guess.
Mentioned CJ Avery to the 6 game list. AJ Allen in his spot. Antoine Brooks got the call up from the practice roster, so he'll likely be on the roster this game, is my guess, as a backup linebacker. Maybe we'll get him in, although he's not really. He's more of the defensive back, that Sam linebacker type role. So being in that will side, like AJ Allen, like CJ Avery, isn't necessarily his where they view him as his strong suit. But I think with the way that he played in preseason last year, the way that he showed up as well too, the guy's got a good resume. So I think he's a good ball player. So I wouldn't be too worried about where they slot him in if he does come in to the game. I think it'll same kind of thing. We're going to see rotation in the linebackers on that one spot with AJ Allen. Maybe we do see more Daniel Weeb or Malik Straker. Maybe more Jaden Dalkey, actually.
Nick Weeb.
Yeah. Weeb probably first, and then Dalkey is my guess. But maybe some Antoine Brooks as well.
And actually, I guess Dalkey actually looked pretty good last game, too. He didn't look out of place. So.
Peyton Collins mentioned the offensive lineman left tackle on crutches. Daniel Johnson, the Canadian 5th-round draft pick from last year, was with the ones at left tackle. So kind of finishing or starting this week the way that they finished last week, keeping Trayvon Tate at left guard. So interesting to me that they would keep that like that. But if Daniel Johnson had that pretty solid game last week, which he did, what the heck? Give him the chance here. And Jacob Brammer was back at right guard with the ones on day one, which pushes Zach Fry to that 6th O-line position. So that's how, at least after one day of practice, that's how the offensive line looks. I could think of worse players that could be a 6th lineman. So that's again, a guy with lots of starting experience already in his young career.
And it sucks for Fry. It completely does. Like
Yep.
I would, ratio wise and future wise, I would rather see him there. But obviously, they see the upside to Brammer, and Johnson is obviously forced himself into that tackle position, which is good. A Canadian tackle is a unicorn. There's not that many out there right now. So if you can get that, he's almost a ratio breaker on the offensive line that way.
Yeah, totally. Roland Milligan was back with the one, so we won't worry too much about that. The interesting one, though, that didn't practice in day one. Now, again, this could be just a vet thing, but it's something to keep an eye on throughout the rest of the week, is Jorgen Hughes was sidelined on Tuesday with, they call it a knee injury. That's an interesting one to me.
This is a big one to me. Like,
yeah, it absolutely is. And it's not going to get the press that it should from local media. Long snapper, like, do you know who the backup long snapper is? I don't.
it doesn't matter. If you don't have a long snapper, you're screwed. You should know who the long snapper is, unless you play in Saskatchewan and are from Saskatchewan, or they're screwing up. That's the only way you'll know the long snapper's name. And the fact that we don't call on Jorgen Hughes, beside the fact that he was 150 games last week.
150. Yep.
So yeah, like that worries me because that's going to affect field goals. That's going to affect punting. Like it's a seemingly easy job that is very hard to do.
Yep. Absolutely.
And anyone can throw a football between their legs. Okay, yeah, on point every time. Where the ball will land where exactly you want it to. No,
it can't just be lofted back there. Like you got to get back there with some speed. So
yeah,
like every little millisecond on special teams counts.
Yeah,
when the other team's bringing the house, right?
So that could be a big one if he's out, because that is going to make the special teams even more and more complicated.
Yeah. Speaking of special teams, we didn't mention it before. I thought actually that was a really great game by Mario Alford as well too. He was going forward. It was his best game where he didn't have a touchdown return in a long time. So,
and also kind of proves how important competition is. Like, and by the sounds of it, Mario has been helping McRae acclimatize himself to the game. So he's being a good teammate while also realizing this guy is here for my job, which is both very professional and also very smart of him, to be honest.
Yep. So got to give some kudos to Mario Alford for his game last week. As for Hamilton, I won't lie, I didn't actually watch the Hamilton Calgary game. I saw bits and pieces, but I didn't. Money in the Bank was on. So Bo Levi Mitchell, kind of from what it looked like, was what he was last year, throwing for a lot of yards, not winning many games.
Like I said, he had 304 yards passing, and him and Lawler still couldn't find each other. Like, Lawler was targeted 13 times, only 6 receptions for 87 yards. Like, that's a lot of misses.
Production is there for the catches, but just not at the rate that you want them with that many targets, right?
The big question mark is their rushing game. They only had, what was it? Sorry, I had it 52 yards rushing between 5 rushers, and one of them was a punter because of a muffed snap, and 11 of those yards were Bo Levi Mitchell,
and that's about 50 yards more than Ottawa got against us last week.
Yeah, And their primary running back this year, Greg Bell, on 8 carries only had 14 yards. So they are in trouble.
Make them one-dimensional. If you can take away any part of a team's offense, whether it's the run, whether it's the pass, you make them one-dimensional, and that's your recipe for success. So if we can just tighten that zone just a little bit, if we can tighten that defensive secondary and not get beat deep, because Lawler likes having big games against the Riders. Tim White is an explosive player. So they do have a good group of receivers, but I thought our guys did a pretty good job last week against a very good group of receivers. I know they had 400 yards passing, but I thought the secondary, when they had to, made some big plays. I know that was it, the 2-point convert that Tavon Campbell knocked away from Eugene Lewis. That was a huge play. It would have made it a 3-point game. So that changes the complete dynamics of the last couple minutes of the game.
Yeah, I think the Riders need to force them to run. Like shut down the passing, let them try to run on that offensive line. Like on that defensive line. Good luck. Because unfortunately, Bo Levi Mitchell is still Bo Levi Mitchell.
That'd be ideal, but I can't see that happening.
No. Bo Levi Mitchell is going to be a gunslinger, and you got, like you said, Kenny Lawler and Tim White, who can burn you. So you just got to lock down that zone as best you can, and definitely not leave anything over the top, because that will kill you against a gunslinger like Bo Levi Mitchell.
Well, and when you're still looking to get that relationship going with your new number one receiver in Kenny Lawler, disrupt them, get that timing off just a little bit, and that comes down to the defensive line. So for the Riders, I'll probably say this a lot this year, getting to the quarterback, whether you're getting sacks or not, but just getting quickly to the quarterback, forcing the timing to be off, throws to be just a little bit early, not where they need to be by getting your hands up, whatever the case is, that's what they need to do. They need to be disruptive. So if they can do that, I really like their chances against Bo Levi and the Ticats this week. And with that, let's do our Piffles picks.
Piffles picks.
Well, folks, when you're right 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time.
And I remembered it this week.
And I am on my way to 52%.
You are at 50%. You'll do it on purpose. You'll purposely get it. All right. Well, I guess I'll take the guess at all the lines this week, the opening lines. So we'll start this week, Thursday night game, Winnipeg's season opener after their week 1 bye, with Chris Strevler as the starting quarterback against the BC Lions.
Mm-hmm.
You hinted that there were some interesting lines.
There are some interesting lines.
I feel like this is probably one of them. I'm going to guess that after last week, and with Strevler being the quarterback, that BC is favored by 1.5.
So close, 2.5.
This is one of those games where if you see what Nathan Rourke did last week, if he can repeat that, I like BC's chances. I like their chances against Chris Strevler, as long as he's passing the football. Winnipeg's going to play bully ball this game. That's all they're going to do. They're going to run the ball. Strevler's going to throw quick, short passes to the flats, little screens, not going downfield very often. So if BC can play up, and I would take my chance that Chris Strevler's probably not going to beat me deep. Play your one-on-ones deep, get everybody stacked in the box. But it's kind of hard to go against Winnipeg at home with the way that they've performed at home the last 4 or 5 years. So I will say Winnipeg in this one.
I agree with you. It's going to be a steady diet of Brady and Nick Dembski on those short little screens, slant routes. And don't get me wrong, when you've got Sergio kicking 60-yard field goals, it's going to be difficult. But whatever, I can't take Winnipeg. I'm going to take BC. I want Winnipeg to lose. So, and this might be spite. This could be spite. It probably is spite, but I I want BC to win this one, so I'm going to say BC is going to cover that 2.5. It's a field goal. BC's also got a very good field goal kicker himself, so and he doesn't have to worry about that little screen, so the little monitor they have in the end zone. So
I like your reasoning, spite. I'm always for that. And this is the game I hope you pick up on me, honestly, for being completely honest. Montreal at Ottawa on Friday night. I'm going to go with Montreal by 1.5.
Ottawa won.
Really?
Ottawa's getting a hometown bump, apparently.
Kidding.
I couldn't believe it. It actually opened, it's actually been moved to Montreal -1. So it has flopped, but yeah, it opened up Ottawa.
I will take Montreal in this one because Davis Alexander looked very solid in that offense.
I agree with you. I don't know how you don't take Montreal, especially if you're getting, even if it's only a point. It's even a tie is a wash on this one. So yeah. I'm taking Montreal.
Calgary and Toronto. I feel this is probably one of those interesting ones that you were referencing before too. Is Chad Kelly going to start? Don't really know yet. I think Toronto gets that hometown bump in this one, despite their performance last week. I'll go with Toronto 2.5.
So close. Even 3.
ABC. I'll take the Argos in this one.
They got the rings, unveiling the banner.
Some nice rings.
Those are very nice rings. And I'm hoping to get a replica. Cough, Adam, cough. So yeah, I'm taking Toronto at home as too. So.
Don't be that guy that begs for a team ring when you didn't earn it.
I got one. I already got one from the last time they gave away rings.
Say
what you want about the Argos. They're actually very nicely. They give out their season ticket holders and their fans some nice stuff.
When you got that MLSE money.
Yeah.
Or now I guess it's the Rogers money.
Yes, it is. They're still the stepchild of the family.
Oh, 100%. And finally, it's the Rider game. Riders at Hamilton on Saturday at 5. I'm going to guess that Hamilton's favored by 1.5.
You were so
rhyme or reason.
That's one -3.5.
Did not think it would be that much. I'll take the Riders.
I'm taking the Riders too. I know it feels like I'm following you, but 3.5 is a lot of points to give Hamilton at home, especially in week 2. But I really think the Riders are not going to take their foot off the gas this week. I hope. Anyway.
I think with this being year 2 of the regime and a lot of the players together, that the continuity that they were preaching in the offseason and the depth that they have just translate into a little bit more on-field success. Where this team was 9-8-1 last year, I think they'll be significantly better than that. So this is a game they should win. So I think that's where we're going to see this team. That's where they're going to find their wins. Games that they should win, they're going to win this year. Whereas the last few years have been kind of hit and miss on some of them.
Well, I hope so, because I think I took them at 10 wins this year. So I need that to come in. They better be better
10?
than last year.
I think Steve and I both had 12 for them. So.
Well, no. Like I think I got them on a future bet at 10 wins. I think I had them at 13, didn't I?
Oh yeah.
So no, if I want to win money, I need them hit 10 wins.
And Steve gets to go perfect 0-4 this week because he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt here on his deathbed with the man cold. By the
next week, these will be the Steve Safnak Memorial Piffles picks.
We need a sponsor for that? Probably not.
No.
But we will leave it there, and we'll be back. Maybe we'll do something post-game.
That'd be fun. Live?
We should do something. We should do something live on Saturday post game after the Riders win. Although post games are so much better live after a tie or
after a lose.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the last time you and I went live was after a loss. Like, screw it, we're going live. Let's go.
That was that tie against Ottawa last year.
Oh, that was the tie.
We didn't go immediately after the game, and good thing we didn't because
we were both mad.
We were pretty heated. We waited almost an hour before or after kickoff or after the game ended.
I guess Preacher and I went live after the Riders got eliminated by Calgary that one year.
Yep.
And that was a fun one. Those are the best ones.
So maybe we'll do something here this upcoming Saturday after the Riders game. So stay tuned to the Piffles podcast on social. We'll get something out there, live on YouTube or something. So we'll have a little bit of fun post game. And we'll leave it there. Piffles podcast brought to you by our great friends at Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sass Drive in Regina. Special thanks, of course, to Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Next Level, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience, and Bigfoot Vodka for their support, making everything with the Piffles podcast happen. Thanks for watching on YouTube, downloading wherever you get your show or your podcasts, and watching on SAS Telemax TV on demand. This is Ghost Behind Your Mind by Tyler Gilbert.
The ghost behind your mind, I'm waiting for you. I won't pretend to be blind like I've had for so long. The ghost behind your mind, I'm waiting for you.
Thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.